Warning.
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 Warning. You are entering into the unplugged mind of Paul Clough. Too late. Personal Development Unplugged.
Hey, my friends, so we've listened, hopefully, to part one. This is part two of Unshakeable You, the rebuilding, rekindling of low self-esteem. And we're going to go into the things that are really going to get you to find that self-esteem again, to rekindle it, to fan the flame, and to be the you really mean to be, meant to be, deserve to be. So have a good listen. Get your paper and pen out because there'll be stuff to do, stuff to think about. And hopefully, not hopefully, it will make such a difference to you. Enjoy. Let's get back into it now. A little bit of the hows now. So it's all about rebuilding. Initially I made the note, let's start building unshakable self-esteem. But it's all about rebuilding. And I've got another longer podcast to do that as well, about building unshakable confidence. And self-esteem and confidence seem to come together. But here's the thing. I want to deal with self-esteem. Not the confidence bit, because that comes next. First of all, I want you to feel so good about yourself. And going on from that little tip I had about that self-talk, would you talk about this to your, like this to your best friend? Here's the thing you can do. And I heard about it. And it was so good. And it's like having compassion for yourself. Not bloody empathy. Because empathy is feeling the feelings of somebody else. And you're feeling those feelings anyway. So why did you want to feel them again? If you notice, and when you notice, you're doing something, which is one of those pitfalls, I want you to stop and not think, well, how would I talk to my best friend? I want you to actually talk to yourself as if it was your best friend. Sometimes it's a matter of just stepping one step to the side, change your position, your physical position, and look in that place where you were standing and go, hey, we can do this. This is what I advise you to do. I'm your best friend. And it's we call them pattern interrupts. You hear me talk about that so much. Getting out of that mindset very quickly, just like that. Step to the side, look at yourself, and then guide yourself as if you were talking to your best friend. Hey, is that the really way you want to speak about yourself? Because you're more than that. Think about those times in the past. What do you want to do? How can we do this? Let me give you some advice from a best friend. What's the first smallest step we could do? Yeah, change your physiology. Why don't you breathe a bit? That's it. Get that breath going. Let's start looking at life differently. That's how you'd speak to a best friend. So literally, out loud, speak to your best friend. You. With compassion. And that works. I heard about this and I thought, how stupidly simple that is and how brilliant it is. And when I say stupidly, it's just stupidly in the way that's how most people would see it. But it's not. It's so simple. And in simplicity, there's genius. And it makes so much sense. Because you're talking to yourself anyway. So don't be embarrassed and talking to yourself out loud. Well, you're doing it on the inside, so bloody do it on the outside. So instead of thinking, what would I say to a friend? Bloody say it to yourself. Step aside and give yourself some compassion. That's what we want to do. That's one thing. Now, one of the other things, and I think this is a great place to start. That was like an add-on from the other one. So that's where you've got to catch yourself. But here's the thing, starting from the beginning of a thought. What are your values? Whoa, Paul, where did that come from? Yeah, what are your values? Explore your values. Because you've forgotten them. They're over there because you've put that like fog, that misty thing you've been looking through, and you've forgotten the true values that you have, I think. I know I did. And I really had to look at mine. What are my values of me? And I went through quite a lot, and basically you just throw out what's important to you in life. And then you just say to yourself on that list on a page of paper where you write them all down, if I could only have one, what would be the only one I'd had? If I couldn't have any of the others, what's the most important one? And it jumps out at you. So it's not the first one that comes to mind. It's when you've got them all out. Because sometimes when you think about your values, the first ones come to mind are the ones you've always thought about. But when you just keep pushing yourself a little bit further, your unconscious mind comes up with your values. And you look at that and you go, that's the one. If I could only have that in my life, no more. That's one I'd live by. And you write that down in big, wonderful letters. Then you look at the back of your list again. I think I've done a podcast on values. Again, search in the podcast. I think I do it on the website, Personal Development Unplugged. I think there's a search button there. And there's also, I know on Castbox, the orange one, there's a search button there. And I'm sure if you put values, you'll notice I've done a values thing there. But you do that. What's the next thing? If I could only have one more out of that, what's left? And you write that down. And then you go, I really want 3. And there's a few left. If I could only have one more? None of the rest, one more, what would it be? So you get your top 3. And you look at those 3. I've now got them in order of sorts. And what were mine? I'll tell you what mine are. Truth, honesty. And I've noticed now that my values have changed because kindness comes into it now. And when I look back, was I being truthful about myself? No, I bloody wasn't. Was I being honest with myself? No, I bloody wasn't. Was I being kind to myself? Well, I was trying to be by hiding, because that was a positive intention. I don't want to have this feeling anymore because I felt like I was a waste of space. I couldn't handle it. Who am I now not supporting my family? That wasn't kind, was it? Because it was certainly untrue, but it wasn't honest. And because of those, now I know those. And they've been with me since then. And it was a long time ago until I brought these out. And they're still true to me now. You know, if people aren't truthful, honest, and kind, I don't really want to know them that much. I'll keep them at distance. But if you come to me with being an honest person, a truthful person, and a kind person, you are my friend. That's me. What are yours? Find them. Sit down for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, however long it bloody takes. Get yourself into a lovely, curious state. Think of times when you've been curious, when you've looked for something and found it. Get that feeling and then start to go, well, what are my values in life? What's really important to me? And do that little exercise. Write out at least 7 or 8. And then look for the top 3. And then you look where you can be those values. So I look at kindness and I look for areas of where either I've been kind or I've noticed kindness or people have been kind to me. And I celebrate them. Now, first off, you have to go in the past because we haven't really started this exercise in the moment. So you look in the past, when have people been kind to me? Now, Mickey B was so bloody kind to me. He wouldn't say no. He wouldn't take no for an answer. He was going to drag me there. He was going to do whatever it took. How kind was that to do that for a mate? Thought it was a work colleague, but so much more than that. Where else? And as you start to do that, you start to pick up one, and then you think of another. They start to flood. Write the buggers down, because you can always come back to them then, and you can feel that kindness even more. Because when you feel it, you're feeling the feelings of your own true values. For me, anyway, there's kindness. It's a lovely value to have. Of course, I believe that, truthfully and honestly. But then I just look for these things and write them down. And then the good stuff comes in, because I have another little field book where in the moment, if I notice an area of kindness, I'll write it down there and then. And if I don't, at the end of the day or at lunchtime or whenever I sit down for my cup of coffee, I sit down and think, where did I notice kindness this morning, this afternoon, or today? And I'll do that. And what happens is you're changing your filters. You're seeing things in the world that match your highest values. And you know how that makes you feel? Fucking awesome. It really does. And we've done nothing about building self-esteem. This is all about, it's like, I've called it rebuilding, but I'm thinking now the word should be rekindling your self-esteem. We just start that little fire, getting the heat, getting the warmth of ourselves. So do it in your field book. I call it a field book, a little notebook. You can, a piece of paper, I don't give a shit really, on something. If you're going to do it on a phone, put it on paper later. But notice the things that, first of all, I think match your values. And then just look out for things that are wonderful in the world. Wonderful in the world that you have done as well. What did I do that was good today? What did I do to stretch myself today? And the more you ask these questions and the more you see the things in the day that you've done that, because you will have done it, you just haven't noticed it before because your filters didn't have that bit in. You're changing the filters, your perception, and you start to see other areas of the world. It's called the reticulating, activating system. Once you change that focus, you start to see everything. It's like, oh, I've heard this word, and oh, what a wonderful word. Then you hear it everywhere. Oh, I'm thinking about buying this car. It's such an unusual car. It's a lovely car. Then you're driving along and you see them every bloody where. Reticulating, activating system. It's hardwired in your neurology. This is what happens. So let's use it. It's a natural phenomenon, which I love. It's biological as well. So it's not woo-woo la-la, but it's also like the law of attraction, if you like the woo-woo la-la. Once you start looking for things, guess what? You find them. It's that old saying, I love this little saying, when you look at things differently, the things you see are different. And you see the things that are so different. And what happens is the things that you used to see that used to spark off that negativity, they're still there in the world, but you don't notice them anymore because you've changed your filter, changed your perception, and you start projecting this stuff. And the more you project perception and projection, must do a longer one on that one as well. But the more you project this wonderful thing, the more you see, the more you perceive. And it's wonderful. And you start to feel that little bit better. And then what you do is, because you're rekindling this self-esteem, you can start to be, wow, I'm going to start to do some stuff now. And you think of yourself, well, I'm just going to set a small goal. Just a small step. I've got a goal, it's quite a big goal, but I'm going to think about just one small step because, again, I don't want to get embarrassed. I don't want to bugger it up. I don't want to fail. But I can't fail if I do this small step, especially when I hold that wonderful feeling and I hold myself to my true values. Can I do this really? Well, I don't know. Now, that's not the truth, Paul. You know you can do this if you set about you the right way. And to set about those goals the right way, the next thing, and it's not the next thing, it's these all come together, by the way. You've got to give yourself some self-care. You really have. And what's self-care? It's like physical. Give yourself some physical time. Go for a bloody walk. Get some fresh air. See the world. And with those filters changing, you'll see wonderful things. You'll see that acts of kindness. You'll see this. You'll be able to start being compassionate. More compassionate. Not be compassionate. You'll be more compassionate. If it means going to the gym, stretching yourself, getting that lovely ache. It's not a hurt. It's just that little ache to go, oh, I've got this. I'm doing this. I pushed myself a little bit today and I feel good. I feel that nice tired. And I'm getting better each time. Oh, that's a bit like self-esteem, isn't it? And they might just sit down and read for a little while. But you read something inspiring, uplifting. Maybe you say, I'm going to put 20 minutes aside to be creative. And what is creative? Is it making stuff? I don't know. Is it writing stuff? I don't know. Is it drawing stuff? I don't know. It's whatever you think is creative. If you want to look out the window and you just imagine wonderful things, what you could do, that's creative. As long as you write the bugger down, start working on it. Maybe your journal. Just give yourself a little bit of time, a little bit of space in the day to get stuff on paper. And sometimes you can journal in a way that you just dump this stuff out of your brain, because once it's out on the paper, you can close the book and it's done. Or maybe you journal with questions. I wonder what my goal is. What's my intention? What will doing this allow me to do? How will I feel? How do I need to feel before I start? So you might have 2 journals. One to dump. You can have as many journals as you like, really, on different things. You could have my, creative side. Or just give me things I want to just enjoy imagining. And then there's a goal-setting type journal. There's so many you could do. But it's just giving yourself time. You might want a mind map, because mind mapping and journaling, for me, gives me new insights. And you don't have to be a writer to do that. You just draw little pictures if you wanted to. Little bullet points. And doing all of this is rekindling, rebuilding that self-esteem that you have. It's unshakable. So giving yourself some time. You're being compassionate to yourself, talking to yourself, being kind, looking at your values, creating small goals, making a note of wonderful things that happen. And then we have this weird thing. And it's about perception. When maybe we get, I call it perceived criticism, and that could be from our head, not necessarily from other people, but it can be from other people. You've got to review it. Don't take a front or a back or anything else. Don't say, oh, there you go, that proves it. No, hang on a minute. Let's review this bloody thing. What I'm saying to myself may be, how true is it? Where are the facts about this? Oh, you can't do that. Who said so? Where are the facts that's saying I can't do this? Because I don't believe in myself. Well, where did you get that belief from, Cluffy? Well, I think I made it up. Yeah, bloody right you made it up. There's no facts there. What in the past have you been able to achieve? Well, actually, you were really good at work, and now you just lost it a little bit. You just got to get it back again. Get on that horse. Oh, yeah, a bit of compassion, bit of guidance. A bit like Mickey B. Get on that horse, Cluffy. We're going. So you've got to look at facts. Got it? Looking at the data. So whatever you're talking about yourself, if it's criticism, look for the facts. Write that criticism down, because once you write it down, you look at it and you go, what a load of old bullshit that was. Why on earth did I say that to myself? It's so wrong. Where did it come from? Asking that really good questions, or those really good questions. But not just ask them. Yes, they'll go inside, but take 5 minutes to think about the answers. Because if you're truthful, honest, and kind to yourself, you'll find those answers. You can pinch those values, by the way. They're free. Now, the thing is, you do get criticisms from others, don't you, sometimes? Just occasionally. The naysayers. Because you start to build yourself up, you're rekindling the self-esteem, and you might get people who go, I wouldn't do that. No, I wouldn't do that. That's not the right thing for you. Or whatever that type of criticism is. Well, to me, it's just like poison. And if you don't take the poison, where does it stay? It stays with that person. It's like the Buddha smiling at someone who keeps shouting at him all the time. And days keeps shouting at him, and he keeps smiling back, shouting at him. And then the guy goes, I don't get it. I've been here for days and days and days, shouting at you all the time, getting really, really angry at you. I'm shouting my anger at you. And the Buddha's saying, well, whose anger is it? I didn't take it. I haven't got it. I don't want it. I'm not going to have it. Don't accept it. I'm going to keep smiling. And the guy goes, oh, shit, it's mine, isn't it? I've got to get rid of it. Was it true? Who knows? I don't care. It's a lovely story. Lovely metaphor. Because if you think about it, I see it as poison. It's a glass of poison that they're trying to let you drink. But the thing is, if you look at the facts, would you take advice from that person anyway on the thing that you want to do? Because they've never done it. Where do they get their opinion from? And sometimes their opinion is, I don't want you to do it because I'm not doing it. Called tall poppy syndrome, cutting the head off the tall poppy because it's moving on towards the light, or moving into delight. It's a lovely saying, moving into delight. So the only people you take advice from are the people you ask for advice. Hey, can you give me some advice about that? Because I know you've done it before. Or maybe I need a second opinion. I just want to voice out loud things I'm thinking about. Maybe you'll see something in it. My son does that to me quite a lot. He says, I know you don't know the answer, Dad, but I just want to speak out loud because it helps me. And if you see anything, I know you're going to tell me. There you go. So if you got other people saying things or saying things to yourself, look at the data, see it as a little bit of poison and leave it in the jar over there with them and just say to yourself, would I accept this from that advice from them? And if you wouldn't accept their advice, why would you accept that criticism? You wouldn't, because they don't know anything about it. And the real thing, I think, that really, I think it's said so many times, but it's so true, is when you've got a little bit of low self-esteem, come back to the act of gratitude. What could you be grateful for? What can you be grateful for? Because you can say to yourself, well, I got low self-esteem, so I'm not grateful for anything at the moment. But okay, what could you be grateful for in the past? What are you grateful in the past? Mickey B. What a wonderful person. And there are other people like that in my life that when I think about it, yes, they were. Oh, I remember Phil now. He would never let me off a question. If there's a wonderful friend of mine from my early days of NLP, he would ask me a question and I'd fudge it. And he'd go, no, Paul. You got to answer the question because you're fudging it because you know the answer is hard. But you need to know it. And I'd sit there and I'd be honest. See, there's honesty and truth will come. But he was ever very kind to me. So it all comes round in circles, doesn't it? And that would really help me grow. So who can you be grateful for in your life from the past? We've talked about the thing about my qualities. I've talked about it on a number of longer podcasts over the last few weeks. But what qualities do you have? And be grateful for them. Not the ones you're missing now, because you're going to get them back. But once you realise you've got those qualities, they didn't go away, did they? They're not lost. You just have to start doing them again, using them again. And when you put it all together, we're on this journey of self-worth because we're all on this journey. We're all on this journey to make things better for everybody, I think. But we've got to be in a good place ourselves. I've seen so many people give so much to other people and forget themselves, and then they don't have the energy to carry on. No, you've got to look after yourself. Rekindle that self-worth, access that self-worth, and then spread it to change the world. If it's good for you, good for others, and good for little old planet Earth, that is a good thing. But it's got to be good for all three, not just good for other people in the world. It's got to be good for you too. And then you can be grateful for that too. So the act of gratitude, although it's spread everywhere far and wide and people jump on the back of it, it just works. It really does, the act of gratitude. And again, write them down. And then you can, again, it's like opening up our focus of attention, taking away that veil, getting that perceiving things that you could be grateful for. And that just feels good because once you are feeling so grateful to be in the world, your self-esteem will start to blossom. It will start to fire, to glow, and grow. There you go. Well, I was going to try to finish on a quote, but I couldn't think of any. But I think I've done enough. I think I've done enough for this longer podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. I've really gone round in circles, but I hope I've gone in the right circle, or the right sort of circles, and pulled them all together. What have we done? We've looked at what is self-esteem and what is low self-esteem. What are the pitfalls? How do we get through those pitfalls? We've talked about the hows of rekindling what's already there. And we've talked about that perception to criticism. Because it is only a perception. It's perceived. It ain't true. And then we've finished off with gratitude. That's, I think, what we did. I think that's what we did. Hope you enjoyed it. I'd like to think that you would, you'd share this. Share this with as many people as you could. That would be kind. If you can tell them about the podcast, that would be even better. Get them to subscribe, because you've subscribed, obviously. You've followed and subscribed on that social media bit, haven't you? If you could do that, that would be good. So share and subscribe and things like that. And if you want to catch me on social media, I'm around various bits I do little things on TikTok and Instagram and stuff like that. I'm on Facebook, so you can just find me out. But better still, I'd love to hear how you've changed and what help you need, if you do need any help, to continue that wonderful life of change that we're here for. To grow and glow. So I'd love to hear from you. Feedback at personaldevelopmentunplugged.com. That's my email address. And if you want to have a flick around paulcloughonline.com, I've got some programs there, but I've also got that free hypnosis tracks. Nearly 70 of them now. So all there for you, and they're complimentary. They're given to you with my love. Okay, until the next time, my friend, it is really time to fly. So, the 90 seconds of hypnosis tracks. Why have I put hypnosis tracks on a separate website? Well, it's so simple, really. I wanted you to have them all in one place, so you can look through them all. You can find the particular one you want. I've even made them downloadable, so you can put them on any of your playing devices that you prefer. You don't need Wi-Fi, you don't need the iTunes or whatever. You can put them anywhere you like. You can even burn them onto disk if you want. Where do you get them? Well, there you go. I told you, it's paulcloughonline.com/podcast. If you're worried about your email address, please don't be, because they stay totally safe with me. I only use them to send you out that email and give you access. Simple as that. I send you a link, a special link, so you and only you can access those hypnosis tracks, because I want them just for you. And the other thing about this is, you've taken responsibility. I don't want to make these open to everyone, just random. You have taken responsibility to listen and be part of this community of personal development. And I want to help you. I want to help you personally to get your dreams, your goals. And therefore, I'm giving you these tools, these protocols, these paradigms, whatever you want to call them, but in deep hypnosis. So just enjoy. Have more fun than you can stand with hypnosis.
Warning, you are now leaving the unplugged mind of Paul Clough. It's time to fly on your own. Be brave, my friend.
Personal Development Unplugged.